Welcome back to the Unbuttoned podcast. In this episode, I'm hanging out with Isak. He's part of the Penn rowing team and also rowed in the 2024 Paris Olympics representing his home country of Slovenia. Isak has also set world records on rowing machines. Hey Isak, it's great to have you on for the second episode of Unbuttoned.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, dude. What were your thoughts on the first episode?
Yeah. The first episode I thought was exciting. I think Kai is an interesting person. We actually have a class together and actually have it today too. And yeah, he has some nice stories and an interesting life. So yeah, I think it's nice to listen to somebody that has a lot to share and a lot of different exciting stories.
Do you think this episode will be better than Kai's episode?
Yeah. I always strive for progress. I like to be better every day. So let's just try to make it better. It's my people will decide which one is better. But and my respect to Kai. But yeah, I'll try to make it better. I'm a competitive person.
All right, Kai, you hear that? Isak's trying to one up you, but
you might have to have him come back for another one later.
So let's start off with this. Who really is Isak? Can you give us a quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm a student here at UPenn. I'm also an athlete, so I'm here on the UPenn's rowing team. Before that, I'm actually originally from Slovenia. It's my country. I was training there rowing before I came here, and rowing is a big reason why I came here to the US. It helps me pursue my degree here and just helps my progress with the sport. So yes, I'm a student and athlete right now, and yeah, I'm still pretty young. I'm 24 years old, and yeah, I have some other interesting things to say, but it's like a quick introduction.
Yeah, we'll get into all of it, dude. But first, before we get into like the interesting stuff, let me ask you some ridiculous questions.
Okay.
Hey, there's no right or wrong answers. I just want to understand the intricate inner workings of your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned you're on the Penn rowing team, and I know we're going to hear a lot more about rowing throughout this podcast, but first of all, the real important question. Does rowing get you a lot of attention from the ladies?
Yeah, it does. It gives the spotlight. It's one of those sports where it's a performance sport, so people come to watch races. And yeah, of course, ladies also come to watch. I have my beautiful girlfriend. She cheers on me on my races. She's really supportive. She was with me and through all the important races and back in the season. That was really nice. But here in the US, yeah, it's just also a big thing. A lot of spectators. We just raced head of the Charles Regatta in Boston, and the riverbank was full of people. My mom was also there. My brother, really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. People supporting you, dude.
Yeah, a lot of people supporting me. It's really exciting. Yeah. It's a sport where it's not so popular, but people that follow it, I feel like they really like it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah.
Next question. All right, going back to your university students, let me ask you a little bit about your time at Penn. What is the wildest Greek life event you've attended while at university?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. I haven't really been involved much in Greek life. We have some rules on our rowing team about that, but we had some events mixing with some sororities. So I got to know some ladies from different sororities, and I think I know a couple guys also from different fraternities. I think it's interesting to have a community where you have it's social. You have each other, you help each other, you're friends with each other. I think that's nice. But events really, I haven't tried to join any fraternities, so I didn't go to those events. It was more like informal meetings with our team and other sororities usually.
Come on, dude, you're a senior now. You must have partied pretty hard. You have any crazy stories or no? You got to keep it
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, no,
low key since you're rowing.
yeah. Social life is pretty heavy here. It's nice. We had some good parties. We did. I did miss 1 year though here because of COVID, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
still got to be at a lot of parties. Yeah, our rowing team has a solid social life. And when I turned 21, I also started going to the bar, which was nice. Also a social place here at Penn. It's nice. So good parties, good music. I'm sure if you were there also to do your own DJ, that would be nice. I would like to hear that.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to DJ a rowing party, like after party, after
Yeah,
you guys like destroy another team.
yeah,
But let's get into the rowing because I think that's what everyone is excited to hear about, and I think that's it's going to be the coolest thing to talk about. So let's get into what. Tell me about the Paris Olympics. So you were in the Paris Olympics this past summer, huge deal. Was this always a goal of yours to qualify for the Olympics? And kind of what was your journey? When did you start getting interested in rowing, and then how did you make it to this point?
yeah. I was always in sports. From early on, before rowing, I was in swimming, and then my brother and I we transitioned into rowing. My dad was a really good rower. He actually has an Olympic medal, the first one for my country.
Oh wow.
Yeah, from '92 Olympics in Barcelona. And so yeah, he got me inspired a little bit as well. I wanted to kind of see the sport how it is, and I started to like it and started to get better at it, and that just kind of also motivated me to keep going. But also I like the social element of it, just having friends and making each other better every day.
Yeah. So is rowing like a big thing in Slovenia? Like is it something a lot of people are interested in? So is it easy to kind of transition to that and like get coaching and learn about it? Or did your dad teach you mostly?
Oh, it's a big thing in Slovenia. Yeah, my dad taught me a lot of stuff. I do have a coach though. That my dad is not my coach, but yeah, it's a big thing. My hometown where I'm from has a lot of Olympic medals from rowing, a big rich history in rowing. So yeah, it's a great sport to be a part of. I wouldn't say right now it's the most popular one, but it used to be very popular. Now it's starting to get popularity again. I was the first one after 12 years to bring Slovenia back to Olympics in rowing.
Oh,
Which is,
that's awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah. Wow. So what age were you when you first started rowing, like transitioning from swimming to rowing?
yeah, I started in primary school.
Wow, early. Okay.
I would say I was about 14 years old or maybe 15. So that was in 2014, about there. So I've been doing it for like 10 years. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So then, like, when did you think about like the Olympics? Was it always just a dream because you're something your dad did and you want to kind of follow in his footsteps, or were you not thinking about like Olympics initially, and then you started realizing you're okay, I'm very good at this, so maybe I'll go for the Olympics?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. At first, I was just I knew all the legends and all the rowers that were at the Olympics. I was looking up to them a little bit and just kind of asking myself a question: what does it take to get there? And I just kept training, focusing on getting better every day. So Olympics almost just kind of like came into my life. I did want to get there, to go there. I was talking about them before went there, but yeah, it was a great thing that happened to me to go to Olympics. I think it's really a blessing, a big experience.
No, I mean that's yeah, I think that's so amazing. And I guess like one of my questions is like what's the process to like get into the Olympics? Like for people also may not know much about like how people actually qualify. What's that qualifying process like?
Yeah, the process is usually for this year it was 1 year before Olympics. There's a World Championships, and then this is where I believe it was 9 boats that qualified. So 9 single scull boats, and then whoever doesn't qualify still has a chance at the same year of Olympics to qualify again. So there's more qualifications. There's a continental qualification regatta. So in my case, that was for Europe, and then there's another world qualification regatta. So I went through the European one and the world qualification, the last one regatta. So I qualified the same year as Olympics were. I didn't qualify a year before, but so yeah, it's the process itself is pretty complex. Essentially, I also had to be the fastest in my country. I had to show that I'm the fastest, so that I would go on the European qualification regatta and then also on the world qualification regatta.
Wait, so you're the fastest in all of Slovenia? You had to show that?
Yeah, I had to show that because there was another competitor I had. He was also very fast, and so we had a race to determine who's the faster and who will go to European qualification regatta. And on that day, actually, I think we had two races. I was faster, so I went to the European qualification regatta, and then I qualified from there.
Okay, so how do these races work? Like, kind of what was the distance of these qualification races? And when you're saying you were faster, like by what margin is it? These super like slim margins, like when you see swimming during the or is it like kind of more of a wider margin, like you either kind of crush someone or come up?
It is wider usually, although some races are very thin margins. If you look at the 2016 Olympic Games single scull regatta, it's actually a very small margin, almost hardly seen with the naked eye. But for me, for this national qualification regatta, the margin was quite big. I was ahead by a good amount. On the first day was a good amount, but then on the second day even more. So it was pretty I would say, yeah, it was a solid amount, so unquestionable. And then that's about how it is. And then on the European qualification regatta, I had to reach top 3 places to qualify further.
Let's get your. I'm gonna share the screen here. Get your Instagram up on here. So just tell us about what some of these photos. Like, I'm just gonna go through a couple of them here. So I think
it would be so nice to have more photos, but this one.
I can pull up another one too, but
but this specific one you showed is actually, this is from the course in Paris, and this is me holding my single scull, my boat, and I believe this was after the race where I won. It was really a good feeling to win in the Olympics. This was the repassage. I had 5 races actually Olympics. This was one of the 5, and this one that I won. It's a really great feeling. The crowd was really loud, really good energy, really supportive, and so this is me carrying my boat back to my boat racks from the water. So after the race photo.
I didn't realize you just lift them up. Like, are they pretty heavy or?
They're not that heavy. You can carry them on your own on a shoulder. They're about 14 kilos, 13 kilos. If you have them on for long enough, you get some sort of it gets uncomfortable, but they're not that heavy.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. So you get to you qualify for the Olympics, and then how much of it is like working with a team of others from your country, or how much of it is just individual?
So it's a team. It's a team thing. It was mostly me and my coach. There was another lady that also went to Olympics for my country, so we trained together as well, and that was nice. And also other rowers from my country that helped me prepare. They were, for example, training in a double scull boat, and I was training next to them, just trying to match their speed and get faster. But so it's a big team effort. It's not just me, although it seems like it's just me here in the boat. But it's the effort also comes from my family and my, all the supportive system. They really did a great job and helped me get to the Olympics.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. But then in terms of the actual races, the races themselves, like, that's just you, right?
Yeah, no, and the race is just me. Yeah, it's a 6-boat race and
representing your entire country essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just me representing my whole country. It's really a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's special because in rowing you have different disciplines. You can have a double, quad, or an eight. Here in America we do eights, but here when you're alone, it's actually just you're responsible for what you do, really. So it's really an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and then tell us about this. This happened recently. You said a world record. So how did this happen? And tell, like, for people who don't really know like how these rowing machines work, like kind of just explain the whole thing.
Yeah, I did. This was great. So the rowing machines, I'm sure people know them if they go to the gyms. Every gym I think has a rowing machine these days. It's this concept to machine, and it's really where we do a lot of training in the winter. And so I just decided to do this world record. I already got the idea pretty early on, but I didn't do it before Olympics. I did it after Olympics, and I'm very happy because it's not an easy thing to get. The guy that had it before me is an accomplished rower. He was good at Olympics too. And so I'm happy to get that. This was on 10 kilometers. Took me 31 minutes, 48 seconds, 48.3 seconds. I did it in November 25th, 2024. So yeah, it's a proud certificate to have, really, and I look forward to getting even more of those.
Yeah, so how do they know that you accomplished this record? Is it like it's saved on the machine and then
Yeah, yeah.
check that?
Yeah, it's saved on the machine. The machine it's programmed such that when you complete it, it gives you a confirmation code, and then I just sent the Concept 2 company this confirmation code, and I sent them a picture of me with this picture. I sent them that picture of me and the result, and they confirmed it, and I got the certificate pretty soon after.
This is at Penn, right? Which gym is this?
Yeah, this is at Penn. I did that when I was here at Penn.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I'm happy I was able to do it here.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, these are the results.
Are these like the most popular machines that people that are used?
Yeah, they are. These are the most popular. There's another competing company which is rising in popularity a little bit, but these are still the most classic and most popular, and we still use them mostly.
Yeah.
Good machines, yeah.
When you're prepping on a rowing, like one of these machines, how close does it feel to actually doing the real thing, like being out there in the water on the boat and using your oars and pushing? Is it like kind of a similar feeling when you use these machines, or it's very different?
Yeah, that's the thing with these machines, is that they try to simulate rowing as much as they can, and the competitor I mentioned before, the competitor company, actually simulates it better than this company, so that's what makes them better in a way. But yeah, they're not the same as on the boat, as rowing on the water, because they're just on the water you have other factors. The boat can start tilt, right? But the machine is always stable; it doesn't tilt, for example. Yeah. Or in the water, if you're rowing an 8, you have to follow somebody, otherwise the boat is not gonna really go well. But on the machine, it's just you, really, and it's just it's a very power focused thing. The technique is it is important, but
it's more to like just build up the strength that you'll need when you're
for strength and fitness. This is great. This really helps us, and this shows to coaches too who's strong, who has the fitness, who is able to maintain their strength over a period of time. And this shows coaches where some people start to lose their strength, and they just see what people have to work on if they want to get better.
Yeah. So how often, like I've never really seen this, but like when you first start rowing, and like I don't know if this is the thing that ever happens, but like will your boat ever like capsize? Like when you first started, like does that happen frequently, or it's not something that happens too often?
It happened to me, I would say. Yeah, it happens fairly frequently. It happened to me when I was still learning it, because the boat is very narrow, and when you sit in it, you have to catch the balance. If you don't, then you fall in the water, and that's what happened to me. And it was cold water, but I was okay. And then there's also unfortunate circumstances. If you hit other boats, that's even worse. But for me, I haven't had any too bad crashes.
And how different? Like I'm assuming it's pretty different, but when you're in the in the shell like by yourself versus like in rowing in tandem with other people? Do you ever row much like in tandem with others on like one of the longer boats, or not really? Is that
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do here in America. We do the longer boats, so we row in tandem with others. So we row the eights, where it's 8 people plus a coxswain. And back home, yeah, I also row sometimes longer boats, but usually it's been a single scull. We have a smaller team back home, but they are different. Yeah, it's a different type of rowing. But fundamentally, it's still the same. It's still the same movement, but it's just it adds the element of synchronicity
yeah?
and yeah, trying to be with the person, which is also an important thing. Just a lesson in life too.
Yeah, so when you're dealing with that synchronicity, like how do you get into the flow? Does every person just kind of fall into the same rhythm, or do you mostly like try to follow the rhythm of the person in front of you, or how do you guys all sync up like that?
Yeah, it happens kind of naturally. I feel like we chase the good feeling in the boat. At least that's how I see it. Is when the boat feels good, then that's where we're in sync. That's where we're rowing together, and that's also where the boat is the fastest, feels the easiest. But in general, the principle is that the guy who sits in the first seat is the guy that sets the rhythm, and then everybody behind him tries to follow him.
Okay. Yeah, I think yeah that would make sense because the person in the front probably or would it maybe I don't know maybe the back too, but would you say the front and back are like the main areas, like if you're trying to like let's say turn or move in a certain direction, or does everyone kind of have to do it at the same time?
Yeah, there are important seats front and back. For turning, big part is played by the coxswains. They're sitting in the front of the boat and they have the steering cable, so they steer the boat. So they do a lot there. But the the guy that sits at the back of the boat has the most leverage to turn the boat because of how it works, how the physics works.
Yeah.
So yeah, each seat really has its own role in a way, but first and last are really important.
So going back to the Paris Olympics. So how you said you did 5 different races?
Yeah, 5 races. Yeah.
Right. So for your first one, like the first race, like you're made it to the Olympics, you're in Paris. I like what's going through your head, like right when it's about to start, like and you see your competitors and you're about to start going. Like walk me through that. Are you just scared, like and nervous, or at that point do you have like a way to control your mindset and lock in?
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, I try to approach it similar to other races. I try to do things that help me really, and I found that fear and nervousness doesn't really help me too much in the start. So I taught myself to limit those emotions and just focus on my emotions that actually help me. So thinking about how I can make this race good, thinking about the positive really helped me on the start there, and just trying to relax and take everything in that's going on around me, and just sticking to my routine really of how I did all my races before Olympics, and they prepared me well for that.
Do you have any sort of like specific mindset coaching that you've done in the past? Because I mean, if you're at this like super high level, fastest in all of Slovenia, so like I'd imagine like maybe at some point you like also did mindset training in addition to the physical training, or is that not really something you've done?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I think it happens in parallel in a way where every training you kind of push your body physically to new limits. The mind also kind of adapts and sees, okay, now I can do more than I did last day or last training. So it kind of happens in parallel, I think. But we also in my club we also had a coach for the mindset as well. So we had a little bit of that. But I think I did most of my work on my own and just with people around me and just with my coach, and just the big role was played by the physical efforts themselves to help me get the right mindset to win.
Got it. So maybe I'll get a little more into this mindset because actually, for the viewers, Isak and I are both studying cognitive science at UPenn. So we take a lot of classes in philosophy and human cognition, and ultimately learn a lot about how the human mind and behavior works. So getting a little more into that because I feel like it'd be interesting to get your insights. How do you during your training when you're trying to push yourself to those new limits? obviously like your body feels like it's done, like you might have some like pain and soreness, but then how do you push past that and get to the next level?
Yeah, it's very challenging. Well, I think what pushes me really in some ways and in some cases is the people next to me. So if I have somebody next to me that I race against every day or I row with every day, and I know that I can be faster than them, and then on some day they are just faster than me, then somehow for me, then it just becomes a challenge for me to prove to myself that I can be faster than them again, and this just kind of pushes me, makes me forget about the pain and whatever comes with pushing the speed. So yeah, it's the big factor is played by people that actually compete with me. It's a big thing. Yeah, it's a big thing.
You're extremely competitive. It's the competition that
Yeah,
drives you forward.
it is. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful part about this sport. It's just guys coming together and then trying to better each other, but in a positive way. We're respectful of each other. If someone's faster, great. You congratulate them, and then that gives you an opportunity to be faster than them on the next day. So it's kind of this win-win-win situation where if someone wins, it's a win for you because then you get to win next time. If you really go for it.
Do you always feel like it has to be for you a competition with someone else, or do you ever feel like you're competing against yourself?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that's a good question. I try to really limit how much my mind is trying to stop me from doing something because, yes, I can be my own worst competitor if I want to be. So I try to be good and calm within myself so that I can actually compete with others. Because if I was competing against myself while competing against others, that would really make it difficult for me. So I try to first sort that competition within if it exists, just to make sure I win that, and then I can start winning other competitions. Yeah.
And then this like your mindset, how much of that plays a role when you're actually in a race? Like like depending on how your mindset is, that could have a big impact on how you perform in the race, or is it mostly when by the time you get to the race, it's just you're more all physical, your body's just pushing itself that you don't even have time to think about anything? Or is there a large like role of your mindset?
Oh yeah, it's a big mental sport, rowing. For example, if you in the race is 2 kilometers. It's about 7 minutes in the single scull, and it happens a lot that some boats start very fast and then they get overtaken. So there's different strategies that the boats use to get through the 2,000 meters. And so if you, for example, let somebody else pass you, and then you say in your mind to yourself, okay, I'll just let them go right now, but then I'll catch them again, right? It's hard really for these things to be realized. Just a lot of thoughts are going on in a race. That's what I want to say, because there's different strategies to different races, different racers, and so it's nice to have some sort of approach to thinking also during the race. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. You say strategy. So I never really thought there'd be much strategy because I think it's just like it's a race. You're starting from one end and boom, you want to go as fast as you can. So what are some of it? Are all the strategies more just kind of mental strategies, or are they also strategies where maybe you're trying to preserve energy and then expend it later in the race? So like, what are some of the main strategies?
Yeah, the one you mentioned is pretty important to preserve your energy and then use it so that you come strong in the finish. This is a good strategy. I would say usually people don't try to fake something in rowing, try to fake that they have energy. I wouldn't say that's a thing, but it's important. For example, some people like to start fast and then kind of ease off. Some people like to finish really fast. Some people like to do something strong in the middle of the race. Some people like to just start really going fast after the first 1,000 meters, so after half of the race. So a lot of different strategies, and when you get more experience, you kind of see them, and then you try to see what works best against each one of them.
Yeah. So talk to me. Let's move a little bit towards growing up in Slovenia and rowing. So obviously you around 14 or 15, rowing becomes massive part of your life. How does that like work? Like do you start focusing more on rowing instead of school, or was it kind of like difficult to find a balance? And then also kind of, I know when you're 14 or 15, making friends and things, or it's a bit harder because you're a teenager now. So did it have an impact on kind of your school and social life, training that much, or was it something you could manage pretty easily?
Yeah, it did have an impact on my social life, the training. I put a lot of time into it, and it's not just the training that takes time, it's also the recovery that comes with the training, and that's important. But in a way, I actually liked it because it gave me a great opportunity for me to take the focus away from school and other things in life and just go on the water and just do that activity and just get in that state where I could relax from other things. So that's why I liked it. But it did come with a cost, as I said. Yeah, I didn't go to other things, but I don't know. I like the way it is. I like the way it is. Yeah.
And did you always like it? I know sometimes people, when they first get into it, it's more like their parent convinced them, and at first they don't really like it, but then once they realize like, oh wow, I'm actually pretty good at this, then that kind of sparks their interest. Were you just interested from the get-go?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was interesting from the get-go, yeah. And I think what kept me in the sport is just I was just used to having this routine where I would just practice every day, really. From swimming before, I just kind of knew that there's always I just liked having some place to go to and just be there and practice and get better, and that kind of helped me stick with it. But as I grew older, I also grew the bond with the sport, and I feel like it's a bigger part of me now, and I feel like it's even I like it even more now.
And your dad, you said won a medal, right, for Slovenia?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Olympic medal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did that kind of influence you? Did you ever feel like kind of you were trying to, like, I know you're competitive, so like you needed to like compete with your dad, or like you kind of felt like maybe you were like in his shadow at any point, or did it always kind of feel like your own thing?
There's overlaps. I like having him as an example of what can be done, and I looked up to him a lot. Just he was really a great rower. He was also two-time world champion as a junior, so at a young age he reached really high levels, and that made me really look up to him a lot. Yeah, and it helped. I would say it's mostly positive for me. It's not like it doesn't bring me down if I'm not at his level, but it actually just pushes me further because it tells me that there's so much more to get to, and he shows me that it's possible. If he could get there, I can get there too, I think.
Cool. No, that's definitely a good positive way to view it, and constructive. So yeah, you said that you like this whole idea of like training and putting in your time into one thing to see the improvements. And apart from like the actual physical training, like are there other parts that come into play, like dieting and sleep and all of that? Like I know obviously like they do have an impact, but is that something that you keep an eye on and you have to regulate for your rowing performance, or not something you follow too closely when it comes to rowing?
Yeah, these are big factors. The recovery is a big factor. I've been starting to get more into that recently. Before that, I was just really focused on training a lot, but yeah, recovery plays a big role because there's just a limited amount of hours you can put into an activity, and then if you can recover faster, then it means you can put more into the activity. And so yeah, I've been trying to work on my sleep and my diet. It's always something that I'm always trying to improve and make sure I feel good as well. And so yeah, sport is multidimensional. It's not just the activity itself, like rowing, but it's also just having a great family life, having a great sleep, having great food, things like that.
Yeah. And on the Penn rowing team, like are these things like regulated? Like do your coaches specifically tell you like what foods you need to be getting, how much protein you need to get each day, or is it not that involved?
Yeah, with the diet, we have a dietitian actually here at Penn, and we just opened a new facility for food as well here for student athletes. So that's great. It's not so strict for us. We don't need to follow any strict diets, but there's some guidelines. They tell us what is good, what is not, And yeah, Penn is actually doing a good job here. I would say they're helping us with the diet here, us athletes. So I like that, but it's not a strict thing here for us. No.
What would you say is like the best diet for you, or the diet that food that you've eaten and then afterwards you perform the best?
Yeah, that's a good question. The diet, so as I said, I'm kind of working on it a little bit, but I like the balanced diet. So really just not going into any extreme in terms of like eating just meat or eating just carb or not just fats or something like that, but try to just have a balanced view on diet, right? So, and also eat something that eat the type of food that makes you feel good. So they don't have this mindset of just, oh, I need to eat this because of something. So I like to eat most foods and just also eat like 3 meals a day, let's say, and some snacks in between. Not any extreme, really. Yeah.
All right, so you follow a balanced diet overall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know. So I'm assuming you don't, but do you have any interest, or have you tried like any even more additional things like supplementation or different, whether it's just like maybe a protein supplement, or like things like creatine or other things like that, that obviously things not that would like get you disqualified from a race, but things that are natural supplements that you're allowed to take?
Yeah, that's a good question. The supplements are a big thing in the sport. Personally, I'm a big fan of sodium bicarbonate. It's a good supplement. I just started using it before Olympics, and it was great. I used creatine before. I didn't really keep using it. I do focus more on food though than compared to supplements. Food is more for me. It's more of a focus. I feel like you can still get nutrients from food. And then you have all the sports drinks that also are a big role in the sport. The protein shakes for recovery sometimes are a thing. So yes, and I also get tested for if I have any, if I take anything that's not allowed. So I'm pretty careful here not to get any.
All kinds of new things you have to.
Yeah. So if I buy any supplements, for instance, I want to check that these are checked by some regulatory agency, so they don't have any prohibited substances, because the consequences are not really good.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you said sodium bicarbonate, right? Well,
Yeah.
what specifically did you notice any impact from that? And also for people who don't know what that is, you want to just describe it and like what
Yeah.
it's supposed to do and whether it actually helped with anything?
Yeah, sure. So in simple words, it's baking soda. You can get it in pretty much in any store. I think it's just this white powder, and what it does for me, especially, is so when your body works at a high intensity, it produces lactic acid, and this sodium bicarbonate, it's an alkaline substance. So it's supposed to balance this pH in your body. So it's supposed to neutralize the acid a little bit. That's one of the functions it can work. And I'm not an expert here. I mainly took it though because it also helped me with the acid reflux. If I ate too much food, for example, and I would get this would help me neutralize it and help me train, because sometimes when I would train, this would really bother me, but sodium bicarbonate would help me to ease that down and just help me have a good training.
So it's something that's kind of just like you've had it's like good for you, like overall for your general health. It's not very targeted toward rowing.
Yeah, I would say, I used it for that, for my health, but then I guess also I was interested if it really has an effect on the actual performance, and I think it did. Yeah, I think it had an impact in a positive way. There's a limit to how much you should take, I think. If you take too much, it's not really good. But I think it's an interesting, and yeah, it could be useful as a supplement.
And when it comes to like coaching for your coaches, let's say you're training and you're trying to improve. Obviously, you're very competitive and like motivated on your like by yourself. But do you ever find times where like you're kind of losing the motivation just because you're physically exhausted and your coach has to like push you? Like, how tough are your coaches on you? Are they more just like kind of guiding you, or do they actually like are they kind of like drill sergeants and like pushing you to perform better?
I would say they're not definitely not. They're collaborating with us. So if we tell them what we want to do, what we can do, they're respectful of that. But I think they do a good job in in giving us good trainings, and then also telling us, okay, we did that amount, but we think you can also add some if you want, right? So they give us some recommended sessions to see if we want to, and if someone doesn't feel good, they don't need to really do a session. But it does hurt the team in a way, because every guy on the team matters, and because every guy being competitive on the team helps other guys get faster. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's me. Do you have any like crazy stories, just crazy rowing stories, or maybe some like an epic fail that happened, or maybe some other sort of issue that was unexpected?
Yeah, one crazy story that came to mind is there was this quad, so like a group of 4 guys rowing together,
Okay.
and I wasn't in it, but someone told me about this, and one of the guys had enough. He just didn't like it anymore, and so he just jumped out of the boat in the lake and just swam away from the boat. I think he even swam to the actual shore. So he just left the 3 guys in the boat and just left. It's kind of interesting.
Wait, were you one of the 3 guys in the boat, or?
I wasn't in the boat, but one of the guys told me about this. Yeah, this is really wow. I didn't expect that. But there's always some interesting stories in the sport. Yeah, it's exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, just a couple more questions for you, dude. I kind of want to get the audience to know you a little better. So, what brought you to UPenn? Like you're Slovenia, and then you come to Pennsylvania. What made you to bring like first to the US and then specifically UPenn?
Yeah, that's a good question. Slovenia is a beautiful country, really nice nature, nice people, nice to live in. But America was interesting to me because well, reason one is I think is my dad, because he studied there too. He studied at Brown. But then second reason is I think that they do a good job in balancing sport and rowing. And what I didn't know before is that being on such a big team is going to be really good for me, and it really is. I mainly came here also because I knew that the school is really balancing the sports very well, but then also because it's a new experience and it seemed exciting to me, and I'm happy to be here. The UPenn is a great school. I'm having a good time here.
Yeah. And did you apply like to UPenn? Like that was was that your top choice, or did you kind of apply to a bunch of schools in the US and then to kind of decide from there?
Yeah, I applied to a bunch of schools, mostly Ivy League. I think Brown was really close. Yeah, Brown was really close to. I was deciding between Brown and Penn, but then I decided for Penn. I was also looking at Yale and Dartmouth, but I'm actually happy that I'm here at Penn, because even from the sports perspective, we're the southernmost Ivy League school.
We're the what most Ivy?
Most southern Ivy, so we're
Yeah.
which means it's a good thing for us rowers, because right now our river is fluid, so there's no more ice, so we can get to train, while other schools up north, maybe Yale, maybe the river is still frozen, I don't know, but certainly the weather there is different, so it's a big advantage for us here weather-wise, but also just the city here and all other things at Penn that are so nice. Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, yeah, no, thank you so much for like telling us about your story and your journey with rowing. Do you have any like other, I don't know, maybe other either advice you want to give to listeners or any final words?
Yeah, sure, man. Thanks for having me. It's great. I would say for listeners, keep getting better. There's great things in life. Keep going towards them and being nice to people around you. It's gonna make a big difference. And yeah, call your family. Make great relationships. I think these are big things, and follow your passion as well. For me, rowing is a big one. If you have one, I think it really helps you as well to feel good.
All right, guys, you heard it from Isak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, thanks, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, and thank everyone for listening. Yeah.